Hello, I'm Maggie Pashley, and today I'm just going to talk about heart wall clearing. So what is heart wall clearing? It is removing blocks to love, to receiving, to success, and in a very simple, easy way which pinpoints the different things that have happened to us that have somehow created this need to create like a protective barrier around our heart. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. By the time most people have reached adulthood, they've been let down, disappointed, or somehow felt rejected or criticised in a way that they haven't feel completely safe being themselves. And heart wall clearing is very good, I think, at pinpointing those particular events and the emotions generated from those events that have somehow got stuck into our nervous system, and therefore create like a filter to how we see the world currently. And if we've been hurt, if we've been let down, then without intentionally, of course, wishing that, we are seeing the world through that filter and more likely to create the very things that we really don't want. So in a heart wall session, what I would do is I would use muscle testing, which is just a simple way of getting either a strong response for a yes or a weak response for no, to find out, using a chart, what particular emotions and what particular age things overwhelmed you. Some of these things can even be absorbed from other people. They can also be inherited, and I think many people can also relate to the seeing patterns that are running through their family. They might say, oh, I never will be like my mother or my father, and then end up, despite their best intentions, repeating those patterns. And the wonderful thing about releasing inherited trapped emotions is they not only release from you, but they release from right back to the ancestor who you inherited them from, and also from your children as well. So I think sometimes it can have a really big impact on a family. And I've known people where I've worked on them, and they've said that their mothers felt better, or that their children have seemed different. So I think it's a really amazing way of actually helping us put down that barrier to receiving ourselves, to receiving love. And heart wall clearing can be done anywhere, wherever you are. So the sessions that I do, most of them are actually online. If you happen to live in my local area, you could come to see me in Sligo at the Sligo Wellness Centre. But most of my sessions are online, and they work really, really well as distance sessions. If people want to have the notes that I take during the session sent to them afterwards, I'm able to do that too. And let me just give you maybe a couple of examples of some other amazing things that I've seen happen with heart wall clearing. And of course everybody is different, and sometimes things that happen to people are a bit more dramatic than what happens to other people, which and that can be much more subtle for them. But about a year ago or so, I worked with a beautiful young woman who had actually, although she was happily married, she had grown up with in a very difficult situation with an alcoholic parent, and that created a feeling in her of not really quite being able to trust, quite being able to let her guard down at times, especially on a deep personal level. And during the heart wall clearing, I was absolutely amazed at what happened to her. First of all, she and her husband, I mean, she'd already done amazingly well. You know, she'd met somebody who was a really lovely man to marry, and so in many ways she'd already began to break a lot of the family patterns anyway. But she and her husband had been looking for a house for about 18 months and not really finding what they wanted. And I think it was like the third week into doing heart wall clearing that she came in. I think it actually was the second session. She came in and said that they'd found a house, and it was a wonderful house, and it was going to be near his parents, where she felt there'd be a lot of support, and she got on really well with his parents. So that felt like a really big breakthrough. But a couple of sessions on from that, she came in and said that that she was pregnant, and it was something that she and her husband had talked about, but she was always a little bit guarded about because of her own childhood. But she said that it felt totally right. And so what I sort of saw happening with her out of that she was able to not allow things that happened in the past to really cloud her future. She was allowing herself to receive more. And so I thought that was very, very inspiring. And I had one woman who came in, and I'd worked with her mother earlier, and she said that she noticed the whole family dynamic change when I worked on her mother, that she obviously felt some benefits herself, but she sensed her mother being different, and that there was a lightening up within the family. And in my own case, and I've said this, I've described this before, but I'd been single for about 11 years prior to clearing my own heart wall. And having cleared my own heart wall, I then entered a relationship with the man who's now my husband. And it was a different relationship. It was a relationship where I knew that there was room for growth, that it was a relationship where there could be love and respect, rather than the more agonizing relationships that I'd had in the past. And of course, in any relationship, there was still going to be challenges. There's always room for growth, but I knew that this was a relationship where we could be both committed to making changes and to creating a different sort of relationship, which was much more fulfilling. So heart wall clearing tends to take 3 sessions or more. I've known it take 5 or even 6 sessions, and that's why I have a heart wall package, which means that people can pay just a set fee, which is actually slightly less than 3 sessions, so that if it does take longer, that's already included and they don't have to worry about how long it might take. You can, of course, do heart wall clearing or on your own. You can actually do it for yourself using Bradley Nelson's book, The Emotion Code. I do, however, think that a lot of the time it can be a lot kinder and a lot more supportive to do it with somebody else. If this speaks to you and you would like to find out more, you can also book a free 15-minute consultation with me and just chat to me about whether it might be right for you. And I'll put the link to that below, but it's basically calendly.com/Maggie Pashley. And if you want to just check out my website where I describe the emotion code in more detail is bodycodehealings.com, and I'll put that in the link below. And then I've got a website which also shows my other modalities, and that's maggiepashley.com. Okay, so do get in touch if you think this is something that feels right for you at this moment. Thank you.